Hello and welcome back to AC's Make and Repair. Well, today I'm going to show you how to make one of these oilstone boxes. Some of you might have watched my video on how I sharpen my chisels, my wood chisels, and this was in that video. I made this many years ago when I went through Tech College, or TAFE College here in Australia, which is like trade school in some other parts of the world. And this is one of the things that we made. We used a hollow chisel mortising machine to do this. I've got a homemade chisel mortising attachment that I made for my drill press many years ago. We'll be using that today. You could alternately, and one day I might show you how to do to rebate a hole like this, and with using a router or using my overhead router. There's many ways to do this. You can actually go around the edge and drill down with Forstner bits and cut it out with a chisel, mortise it out with a chisel. There's many ways of doing it. So let's get stuck into it now. I'll show you how I did it many years ago, and we'll make one up pretty similar design to this one to suit this stone here. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so I machined up some pieces of, this is just scrap timber. It's a bit of old pallet timber actually, but it's got a nice little bit of grain. Got a couple of little nail holes, but that's not going to be a problem for what we're doing. Just for display and video purposes. So this one's a fraction shorter than that one. It's about 3/4 of an inch shorter. That doesn't matter though. Plenty of room in there for a stone to go in. Alright, so I'll get to it and show you how we're going to do that now. So first thing we need to do is measure our stone up. In this case, 50mm by 200mm. Now I'm going to allow a little block at either end like on this one, which is actually quite a good little idea. I won't make it as fat as this. I'll probably only make them 10mm. So I need to make a hole in there, 50mm by 220mm. So 10mm longer at either end. And I need to make sure my orientation's right. So that is the bottom. This is the top. I'll just mark that. In base, inside top, and what I'll do is find centre, mark 25mm either side, find centre lengthwise, mark 105mm either way, and then I'll mark out my hole with the marking gauge. Then I'll proceed to cut the depth. Now the depth of this, I'll put a half on the bottom and a half on the top. It's about 26mm. So I'll allow 13mm in the bottom, 13mm in the top. So just watch on and I'll show you how I did it. Incidentally, I'll be cutting the top and the bottom consecutively, so I'll do my outside cuts, and I'll do the outside cuts in the top at the same time as I do the outside cuts in the bottom. So once I finish the bottom, I should say, while I've got the fence set up, I'll use the fence to cut the top as well. They're the same thickness, so we can't go wrong there. There you have it, that's what I'll be cutting out. And I need to set a depth on this at 13mm now. And I need to set the fence so it's parallel with the chisel too. A little bit of mucking around, but you get it right. That should be about it there. Just double check to make sure it's going to stop. So the first hole's probably the worst hole to do because it wants to bite in and it wants to lift. So let's go from there. I'll do the both sides first, then I'll move it across and do the middles. I'll set this up. It should be right. I'll go through and I'll only do half a hole at a time there. I don't know if you can. Here's the first two holes. You might notice as I go through drilling the rest and cutting the rest of the holes, some smoke coming out. This wood seems to smoke a terrible lot actually. It had a really sweet aroma about it. But the other test pieces that I tried on, which were a different type of timber, didn't smoke like this at all. It turned out as I checked it was a fraction tight, so I had to go through and just take 1/2 millimetre off either side so the stone fitted. It was still a little bit tight after I finished trimming it too. Okay, so now it's just a matter of moving the fence across, aligning everything, making sure it's right, and cutting the last part out. That is right now. The stone will fit in. Well, it should. Yeah, it should be good. Should be a good fit. So now I just move across, cut out the middle piece, clean up the bottoms, clean up the side a little bit, and that's the worst of the job done. Just a matter of getting the bandsaw and cutting the shape out at the bottom, and we'll work that out in a minute. All right, here we go. Oh, good fit. Very good fit. Now, I've got to make a little spacer up for either end. I've got to clean the ends of those grooves up with a chisel. Clean the bottom up. I've got a little router plane that I'll show you that I'll use for that. And we'll go from there. Now we've just got to clean the bottom of this up a bit. I'll show you before actually. that said before, that's the sort of finish you get off a mortising machine. But it doesn't take too much to clean up, thankfully. So we put it in the vise. Put it in the vise. I've got an old Stanley router pane, or some people call them a granny's tooth. I set it at the depth I need, which is just the depth that we've gone at. Get that out, and I'm just going to clean the ends up with the chisel. Just run the chisel down on that corner, clean up that corner nice and clean. Same thing on this side. Get the chisel and cut that little bit out of the corner. Brings it up nice and clean shoulder in that corner. There we go. Rightio. That's what you get when you clean it out. Nice clean shoulders. You still get the marks from the chisel mortising, the hollow chisel, but it cuts a beautiful square hole. So what we've got to do now is make up the little blocks to the end of that. Then I'll show you to mark the bottom part out. This is the top, so we've got to mark the centre there, mark the sides, plane that back, put that in the vise, plane it back, and go from there. Okay, I got the stone in there, made up the little blocks. It's pretty easy to do, that is. Now I've got to find centre of this top, which is 35. Come back 35 for that corner one. Now on the edges, I think we'll only do a shallow one on this one. So 10mm down. Actually I might mark that with the marking gauge to be quicker. There you go, it's already set up a 1/2 inch, I think. Put a pencil mark in there. There's a guide, oops. There's a guide, a couple of old nail holes are going to cause troubles. Doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to put the lid back on this box because I think it's going to be easier to plane while it's in it. A small plane and yeah, that's that. And then around here together, and I have to sand this a bit too. A few gouge marks in it. Rain's not the best. There you go, done a bit of a sand on it. A couple of nail holes, a bit of a shame, but anyhow. Little tear mark there on the grain too. Not a problem really, it's only so I've got to go to the bandsaw here and cut the scallop on the bottom. We'll mark that out and see how that goes. Right. Well, I found a curve that should do the trick. There we go. See how I go cutting that out. Well, thanks for joining us today as I showed you how I made this oilstone box. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's only one method. I mean, you could use a router to do the mortise hole, to trench it out, and you could use a template following bit if you set up some sort of guide. I have an overhead router. I've made up a base guide to go over a pin on the table, and I've done them that way too. You could use Forstner bits as well and mortise it out by hand after you've taken the bulk out with the Forstner bits. But today I showed you how to do it with the chisel mortiser, the hollow chisel mortiser that is. And look, it removes the material relatively fast and it does an okay job. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate all those people that have viewed my videos and subscribed. I really appreciate that. Appreciate it if you pass my videos on, share them. If you look down below your screen there, there's a little share arrow, and you can share it via through your social media things, through different apps, message apps, etc. These videos, I'd appreciate that too. Look, I want these videos to be a help to you, to encourage you guys out there and ladies out there to get in, give it a go, try new things, you know, make this stuff. You know, give it a go. Don't give up if you fail. Just keep trying. If you know people that can do this sort of work, ask them questions. You know, the way to get knowledge is to ask questions about these things, and wisdom is the outliving of that knowledge that you learn. And if you can get the grasp on the basics, a lot of this stuff, you can make a lot of stuff. So look, keep going. Don't get discouraged if you find things hard to do. If you've got any questions, by all means, ask them in the comments there. I'll try to answer. I can't guarantee I could probably answer hundreds at once, that's for sure, but I'd try to answer questions about that you might have. Thanks for joining us, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now. There you go. I'm changing the time at last. It's been 3:40 here for a long time, so somebody brought to my attention. There we go. There we go.